Continuing on with our long-form hypertrophy series, yesterday we talked about tension, and today we are going to be talking about progressive overload. Progressive overload is probably one of the most misunderstood topics within hypertrophy training. You see, progressive overload is not something you should chase, rather it should be a byproduct of solid training. If you chase progressive overload, it is almost inevitable that you are going to break down when it comes to your technique because you are always trying to achieve higher numbers, whether it comes to reps or weight. If you type progressive overload into Google, it will give you a ton of ways to progressively overload. However, Paul Carter and others have suggested that we view progressive overload as just an increase in weight or reps or both. But it must be done with a standardized technique. And honestly, I tend to agree that other definitions should just kind of be tossed off to the side. The reason for that is very simple, and it is quite literally in the name: progressive overload. Progress. It is nearly impossible to see exact progress if we do not standardize the technique of what we're trying to do. And the other thing to remember about progressive overload is that it is showing the adaptations that have already taken place. At the beginning of your gym journey, a 15-pound dumbbell curl might have had you failing at 12 reps. But after some time into your journey, you're going to notice that you are able to do that same amount of weight for a lot more reps, or you can match those reps with a much higher amount of weight. Assuming a standardized technique, this is a clear indication that neurologically or muscularly or both, your body has adapted in a way that allows it to now put out a higher output. And this is why chasing progressive overload rather than letting it happen naturally can be detrimental to your long-term muscular growth. I'll give you a very clear example of this, something you've all seen before: the bench press. When a person starts off doing their bench presses, what do they typically do? They bring the bar down, they touch their chest, they put it back up. As their rate of progress slows down, but they try to force that rate of progress to continue in a more linear fashion, what happens? They start to bounce the bar off their chest, they start to lift their butt off the bench, and these are all signs that these people are trying to force progressive overload rather than letting it happen naturally as a byproduct of them increasing their muscle mass in their chest, shoulders, and triceps. And this is something we want to avoid if muscular growth is the primary goal. So while progressive overload is insanely important to muscular progress, do not try to force it. Let it happen in terms of reps first, and then weight, and then reps, and then weight, and do not try to force it to happen faster than your body is capable of allowing it to happen. So your ability to use progressive overload appropriately is going to completely depend on your mental fortitude to keep things standardized over the long term. And while we could keep discussing it, these are the most important aspects of progressive overload. And next we are going to be talking about overall nutrition intake. If you missed the first episode on tension, follow this comment right here and stay tuned for more. TNFO.